Hi, I wanted to show the solution that I came up with for pathfinding for my game. Um, Unreal does have some solutions for this, like the Navmesh, but none of them really fit my use case and came with a lot of overhead. So what I came up with, um, you might have already heard of because it already exists, but it's called a flow field. And basically what a flow field is it's a physical grid where each node on the grid points to the next node on a way to the goal. Since the flow field has one goal, so no matter where you are on the grid, you can find a path to the goal. How mine works is I have a physical grid. There's one physical grid, per grid actor, and abstracted from that are layers of flow fields, one for each goal that you need to have. So what I've done is, I can't find it, but what I've done is I've indexed each goal to map to that flow field. So if you want a, the path to this one, you just ask and tell it what goal you have, and it gives you the next node based on where you are. Let me show some examples. So I've made it a plugin. So first, let me show. I've just made a little landscape. It's an uneven terrain, just to show that it does work on not non-flat surfaces. So I drag one in. I just change the bounds. Start generating a grid. And what these are, you'll see, are traces. I'll talk about those more in a little bit. But let me get this a little bigger here. So drag it over a bit. Drag it down, just to get the nodes there. So you can see this follows the terrain. Each node runs a trace to get its location. Or you can get the build location or the node location. Node location, it's basically all flat, right? Usually you're going to be wanting to get the node location on the floor. Um, And the reason all these are red right now is because in the settings, I have the node blocking collision to world dynamic. Let's just change that to block build, which is one for my game. And all of a sudden you can see we have some free nodes here. They're white. Let me get rid of this real quick. So this actor does block that collision channel, so this is why this node is blocked. Let me see, I have a selected node. Let me just change that if I can find it. I have the wrong thing selected. Oh, and also you can change the node size if you want. No problem. Change the nodes and make them really small. You can make the padding really big. It all works. Let me just change this back. Whoop. Okay, so we have this node. Now, how do we get a path? Let's see here. I have a gold map. I'll talk about that in a minute. But as you can see, the selected node is this one down here, 3, 2. Let's move it up a bit. Now, let's say I want a goal on this node here. Well, I have some actions here that I've made um, in here that I've exposed to the editor as actions. So you can just click the button, and we're going to try to create a flow field on the selected node, this node. Now, these are debug elements, these arrows. These won't be shown in full builds of the game, but for debug, they're really useful to see which node points to another. So, that's really great. This is all multi-threaded. it's non-blocking, so you make a request and it finishes relatively fast depending on the size of the grid. So now we have that node. Now let's say we select the node next to it. What if we want to occupy this node? Well, let's occupy it. Let me just select a different node so it updates the visual. As you can see, all these nodes update, so they still make a path. Doesn't matter how many you select. Let's say I want to occupy this one. I select another. This one. Select another. As you can see, the path still works. Now, hang on. Where I've gone with this is, say I want another goal on the same grid. What I can do is create another flow field, and there it is. Now all these nodes point here. Now, that didn't get rid of this one. If I move my selected, you can see I have two goals now. But this goal is open because it's not a goal of this flow field that we're visualizing. Let's see here. If I show the next flow field, which is, again, in the goal map, you can name these whatever you want. But if I show the next, you can see these ones still point this one. So the path is updated for each flow field. It doesn't matter which nodes have become occupied or what. Each flow field, each goal has its own path. Now, you can see all these follow the terrain. If you want, like I said, you can get the path of the, or you can get the node's position, or you can get its relative position, its world position, its trace position, which is where these arrows are sitting. And again, you can resize, but that will reset those nodes there. And it all works. So, we also added a few helper functions here. Let's look at this guy. If we move him over a bit and select our grid again, I have this select actor here. I'm going to select this guy and snap him. What that does is just moves him to the closest grid node that he's at, so that if you wanted to, place something, you wouldn't have to do it painstakingly, measuring out distances or whatever, and then mess around with the, it's just easy that way. Also added a bunch of logging features and paths. Here, let's check out the path one. So the displayed path basically uses a different pathfinding algorithm. It uses A star, and that's just to make sure that a path can be found. So what it does is when you occupy one of these nodes, you want to make sure that, well, for my game, there's a spawning point for units, right? And I want to make sure that there's always a path to the goal. So I use A star to find that path before I occupy any flow field node. Because you could, let's say, occupy these 4 nodes or whatever, and then these 4, all of a sudden they're invalid. They're an island. There's no solution for them. So to get around that, I needed to make sure that there was always a path at least to one. So again, that's done multi-threaded. So it's what you do is you submit a request, a grid request, to which nodes you want to occupy and what you want to set it to, and that will eventually resolve and broadcast an event saying if it was successful or not. Then the client can handle that however they want. The cool thing about this is for multiplayer games, all the client needs to know, at least in my game, because it's server authoritative, all the client needs to know is the occupation state for the node. So it's relatively low data transfer. It's basically nothing. All they need to know is this node occupied? Yes or no? No. Okay. Because for like unit movement and stuff, that they'll get that from the server, which has all this information on it. Anyways, that's about it. I just wanted to, share off my little plugin here I made, and let me know what you think. Thank you.